We are back and better than ever. It is the Michigan Football Report from Chat Sports. We're going to go through 5 fall camp storylines. I put some feelers out there to the insiders and some of the blog boys, figuring out what you need to know on, frankly, one of the more uncertain seasons in recent history for this Michigan football program. So we'll jump into my top 5 storylines with just over 2 weeks left until that September 4th matchup against Western Michigan in the Big House. Coming up here, very closer than you would realize on September 4th. Before we jump into the show, I am at James Yoder on Twitter. Shout out to all you guys who followed me, you MFers. You watch the show, Michigan Football Report. Thanks so much. We hit our 7,000 goal that I think we had to reach around the last time we did a show, which is 3 weeks ago or so. Got the bonus. Little Preston Yoder. Got a new pair of shoes for school. All thanks to you guys. So shout out to you. It is the Michigan Football Report from Chat Sports coming up right now. I am hungry for a victory over the Ohio State Buckeyes, like I'm sure you guys are, but I'm not hungry in my day-to-day diet because I am chugging on this magic spoon. I'm eating it every single morning, sometimes for dinner. It's great cereal. It is healthy. It is tasty. It tastes like that sugar pack cereal you had as a kid, but it is completely healthy. Make sure you use our URL there, magicspoon.com/goblue. Specifically for Michigan football fans, you get $5 off your first order. I love Magic Spoon. I think you will too. If you do get it, make sure you tweet at me. Let me know. I'll give you a retweet. Hook you up with some little signal boost on your Magic Spoon purchase. Let's take a look at our 5 fall camp storylines from this Michigan football season. But before we do, I want to tell you about this sweatshirt I have on. Some of you guys are going to say, James, you're a traitor. What are you wearing that thing for? So storyline behind this is I put out a tweet in early July saying I don't think name, image, likeness is going to be this groundbreaking thing for college football players who are making tens of thousands of dollars from brands because, frankly, you're starting left tackle, starting left guard, let's just say, doesn't have a ton of marketability to the average sports fan. You want to go for the quarterback, the running back, the star corner, and not the offensive lineman, etc. So I put out a tweet, said that, went back and forth with some rowdy Ohio State fans. One guy said, well, Ohio State fans will come through for our team. I said, look, right here it says, perhaps for the stars, Justin Fields, Kyle McCord, those players like that, Shaun Wade, Dax Hill at Michigan, but not for guys like Luke Whippler. Somebody can buy a $50 Luke Whippler sweatshirt. And so Luke Whippler, their starting offensive lineman, 3 or 4 weeks later, tweeted me out, got some haters and losers, came at me in the comments, that's fine, and he immortalized my tweet, sold this bad boy for $50, made like $7,000 in revenue, so shout out for him. So I came today, I'm forced to wear it, and I'm hoping I can do the same for Michigan. I hate that I brought a little bit of revenue in for these Ohio State players, but I'll try and do some for Michigan players coming up here sometimes later this fall. It is the 5 biggest storylines around Michigan football's fall camp. And as I said, to start every show, I am your host, James Yoder, with the Michigan Football Report from Chat Sports. Now, some of these will be surprising to you because not everybody is tuned into what's going on with Jim Harbaugh's program because it has been complete crickets and we don't know what the hell we saw on the field last year with a 2-4 record, a complete aberration for what we've expected from Jim Harbaugh in his 6 seasons in Michigan. But going into the 7th season with the Wolverines, I want you to predict the record this year. And not trying to speculate, Big Ten game, bowl game, whatever. There's the 12 games in the schedule. We know the 12 games in the schedule. You get started on September 4th, Western Michigan. Then you've got Washington. You got out-of-conference games, Rutgers. 5th game is on the road against Wisconsin, which I think Michigan will be a double-digit underdog. I'm sticking with 7-5. Look, I hope I'm proven wrong. But there's nothing that I saw on the field last year, nor do I think the offensive coordinator, who's been kind of a disaster, and the new defensive coordinator is unproven to let me predict anything higher than that. So I'm going with 7-5. Go down in the comments. Let me know what you think Michigan's record will be in their 12 games on the schedule. My first top storyline is, of course, anytime there is uncertainty at the quarterback position for any college, pro, high school program, the quarterback battle will lead the way. Got a great quarterback situation. Everything seems to fall in line. And it appears that it's settling itself out well before game week or even 2 weeks into the game. Michigan had a scrimmage this past weekend, and Jim Harbaugh did not hold anything back. He said Cade McNamara is our starting quarterback, but did say that J.J. McCarthy, which we've heard as well, has really turned it around after kind of a rocky start in the spring. He came in as an early enrollee after a 5-star high school career. Really struggled in the spring. At one point, I was told that 25% of his passes past 10 yards were being intercepted in the spring, but has had a nice fall camp. Not nice enough to take Cade McNamara, the third-year player out of the state of Nevada. The starting role will be his unless something drastically changes. Jim Harbaugh has told you who his starter is, which in a lot of ways is different than past years. Remember, even when Shea Patterson came in and was obviously going to be the starter, Harbaugh waited later in the year than we are now to name Patterson as starter. Years prior to that, Wilton Speight, Jake Rudock, others, he waited until game week, or sometimes throughout 2016, Jake Rudock walked out in the field. You didn't even know who the starting quarterback was until Harbaugh did the pounding onto the shoulder pads. But Cade McNamara looked good in limited action last year, but I don't think he proved really anything. Led Michigan on a comeback overtime win against Rutgers. Okay, cool. Got hurt the next game. We never heard from him again. Joe Milton transfers out. He's going to be your starter, the leading passer in the history of the state of Nevada. Let me know what you guys think. We know McNamara is going to be the quarterback, starting quarterback against Western unless something drastically changes. But who's going to be the starting quarterback against Ohio State? That's what I'm more interested about. So let me know in the comments. Go down, Cade McNamara, if you think it's going to be him. Type CM, last game on the schedule. J.J. McCarthy, type JM. I was higher on Alan Bowman than I think a lot of other people who cover this program. But from what we've heard, he has not made a substantial impact in this quarterback race right now, so he's not getting attribution on this question. Type CM, type JM. I'm going to stick with CM for now, but we'll see what happens when J.J. McCarthy gets in the game. Number 2 coming up is the young linebackers are emerging. Defensive line, linebacker, secondary, everybody got eviscerated last year in a terrible defense, but Nakai Hill-Green, second-year player, is really emerging, and from what we're hearing, he's going to be one of the starting linebackers this year, and it's going to be very exciting. He is all over the field. He has supplanted himself as someone who is making plays, understanding the new 3-4 defense that we're going to talk about here in a second, but we'll talk more about this here in just one moment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. As always, youtube.com/MichiganTV. We are the most trusted, most influential, and of course, best looking Michigan football show on the internet, and more Michigan football fans trust this show with their Michigan football news than any other fan base. Subscribe today. News, rumors, no sugarcoating. It is youtube.com/MichiganTV. So said we talk more about it, and here we go. Josh Ross, fifth-year senior, returning, and he actually has another year of eligibility after this. We'll talk about my depth chart here coming up probably the weekend or early next week, but it's kind of crazy how young Michigan will be this year with the the extra year of eligibility with coronavirus last year. Is they could return 21 of 22 starters next year in 2022. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, Dax Hill unlikely to return, so that won't happen. Josh Ross has another season in 2022. Nakai Hill-Green, I've got him starting. And then Michael Barrett, no longer a Viper, is truly a linebacker this year. So those are my top 3 linebackers in fall camp. But Nakai Hill-Green is turning heads. I don't want to say Devin Bush because that's unfair to him. Both Devin Bush, I think, for what he did at Michigan and in the pros, a top 10 draft pick, and for Green, who's proven nothing. He's appeared in one game in his Michigan career. He's been on campus for a year now. So I don't want to start the hype train too early. You guys know I try not to drink the blue Kool-Aid, but it's no lie that he's been one of the top performers in fall camp. We'll see if it translates to the game when they take the field in about 2.5 weeks now. Now, here's an interesting one. Dax Hill. Probably Michigan's most talented player in this entire roster. 5-star, going into his 3rd season with the Wolverines. He's a top 10 player in the country in the 2019 recruiting class. Michigan feels so comfortable with the backups at safety, guys like R.J. Moten, Jordan Morant, Makari Page, that it is possible that this depth chart here might not be what we see come game day. If those players turn practice glory into game time production, you might see Moten or Morant or Page, one of those players, not all of them have played at the highest starter levels, but if one of those 3 players can emerge, they're all second-year players, all 4 stars, top 300 players in their respective recruiting classes. If one of those can emerge and be effective, then Dax Hill can move over and play more nickel or play more primary cornerback, where Vincent Gray, DJ Turner, Jamon Green really struggled. Probably the worst performance from a cornerback duo in Michigan football in my lifetime was the tandem last year. So if you can get Dax Hill, the best athlete on this team, out of safety and put him at cornerback, I think that would be a big boost for this defense. But you're not going to put him there unless you have a capable safety to replace him. And I don't think it's going to be permanent, but I do think you could see Michigan have certain sets, especially against teams like Ohio State and others. They're going to put 4 and 5 wide receivers on the field every single time that they snap the ball against Michigan. Show's back. So is our sponsor, Magic Spoon. $5 off your order. I'm not going to BS you here, guys. This is the best cereal you can eat for 2 reasons. Number 1, it is healthy. Number 2, it tastes great. And number 3, it's high in protein. A whole world of flavor. I've got a couple flavors for you here. I've got the frosted, tastes just like Frosted Flakes. I've got, other side, the cocoa, tastes like Cocoa Puffs, Cocoa Pebbles. I chug this stuff. You go in the pantry at the Yoder Mansion. It is just stocked full of Magic Spoon cereal. Happiness 100% guaranteed. Low carbs, sweet and delicious, high in protein. Think about you're eating a protein shake that tastes like candy and cereal that you ate as a kid, but it is totally healthy with no sugar. It is, frankly, it reminds me of that Seinfeld episode back in the 90s where they had the frozen yogurt that was supposed to be fat-free. It turned out not to be. Magic Spoon, though, it is the real deal. MagicSpoon.com/GoBlue. Use that URL. You will get $5 off when you make your first order. It is opinion time. Who is the best Michigan safety you've ever seen? Why did I bring this up? We're just talking about Dax Hill. He could be an All-American level, All-Big Ten level safety this year if he sticks at that position the entire season. I think there's a lot of potential. If you're an old-timer, you might go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. I think there's 2 obvious candidates here. Marcus Ray, 95, 96, 97, 98. And then you've got Ernest Shazer, first-team All-American in 2004. I'm going with Shazer. Let me know in the comments the best Michigan safety you've ever seen play with your own eyes. No listening to what your granddaddy said. You yourself, let me know down in the comments. 2 more to get to is the 3-4 defense with new defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald. Shout out to Mike Macdonald, married a Ravens cheerleader who went on to be a Washington football team cheerleader while he was the coach. They'll fraternize him with the cheerleaders. All good, Mike. You know, if he can sell the ladies off the field, he is potentially going to be able to sell the players on the field with this defensive change that Michigan is putting forth this season. 3-4 defense. This is not Don Brown's put your corners and your safeties on an island and just gangbusters back at the trying to get the quarterback every single time, which against Purdue, which against Penn State and Michigan State sometimes can work, but against Ohio State turned out to be a disaster. He's Michigan Harbaugh's 3rd defensive coordinator in his 7 seasons at Michigan. Macdonald is. Obviously, you went with, you had DJ Durkin first year, then Don Brown for 5 straight seasons, and really we all know Don Brown should have been shit-canned after the 2018 season. He gave up 62 points when Michigan went into Columbus favored. But alas, Harbaugh brought him back for 2 years. So we'll see what we get. Macdonald has never called plays, has never been a defensive coordinator at any level of football. So if we think he's just going to come in and turn this defense around day one, we might be a little underwhelmed with what the outcome is there. But I'm excited to be anybody different than Don Brown, especially last year's Don Brown, and especially the Don Brown that got shredded in 2018 and 2019 against Ohio State, and of course would have got shredded against them in 2020. So Mike Macdonald, your new defensive coordinator, 3-4 defense. Lastly, it is Daylen Brown, the transfer from Jackson State. Deion Sanders' protege, the best wide receiver in whatever conference they were in. I don't know what conference that is. Whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Jackson State, it's somewhere in the South. He was originally from the state of Michigan, did 2 smaller schools, and now transferred to a Big Ten program. Penn State didn't offer him, but Ohio State and Michigan did. He thought the better chance, of course, to get on the field was with Michigan, but his stats last year were impressive. And he's fresh, too. It says the 2020 season, which it technically was, but they played in March and April in Division I AA. They played the spring football season, 27 catches, 540 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Led his conference in last stats in only 6 games. But the biggest challenge with this projection and with expecting anything out of Daylen Baldwin is his wide receivers coach, which is Josh Gaddis, who's also the offensive coordinator of this team. And there's not a single person who's watched every game Josh Gaddis has called at Michigan, which is, I think, 19 games as the offensive coordinator, that can say Michigan's had success at the wide receivers position. They haven't. He has absolutely failed. You had 3 NFL-level wide receivers in 2019, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, Drake Black, and the passing game did not live up to expectations. And last year, it was an abject failure, abject disaster. So if Josh Gaddis is going to be with this program in 2022, he needs to start with this wide receiver core, not to mention the offense that certainly struggled last year with him at the helm. Before we go, one more time, it is at James Yoder on Twitter. Give me a follow. I'll make you this promise. It is the 18th of August. If you follow me before the 9/1, September 1st, I will follow you back. You tweet at me, tell me you're an MF or you watch the show. I will retweet you and follow you back at James Yoder on Twitter. We'll be back with a Michigan football mailbag tomorrow. Until then, go Blue.